Hey, what's up? This is Chosen, and to kick this week off, we are going to talk about the health of Diablo Immortal and maybe some things that I think could happen in the future, and if things are going bad, how it could be corrected, how it could be fixed. And we'd like to have this discussion about once a month or so, every few weeks. So we're going to talk about that as we head into this week. So let's get into it. Alrighty, so the first thing I set out to do, I was trying to figure out, and I ended up kind of like diving into the spreadsheet here and trying to chart some stuff. We don't get concurrent player numbers. Like if I go to this steamcharts.com website, I can put in Path of Exile, and then I can pull it up and be able to see how many concurrent players they have online, because this is within the Steam client, and you can see how many people are playing. Now, I don't know, I'm not in the Path of Exile community. I don't know if you could play besides the Path of Exile client. Like, I know I used to play Age of Empires 4, and the hot topic in the community was that this wasn't super accurate, because on Age of Empires 4, this is not including all of the people that play with like the Xbox Live Game Pass and stuff like that. Even though the majority of people play throughout the Steam client, it's not perfectly accurate. So as always with stuff like this, it's not going to be perfectly scientific. It's just to try and create an educated guess on things. But anyway, the point is, we don't get this data for Blizzard games because obviously you're not accessing them through the Steam client, and we don't get concurrent player data from like the Blizzard desktop client or the different mobile games that they're doing, like Diablo Immortal obviously being cross-platform. And originally, when I set out kind of doing some research this morning, what I wanted to figure out was what is the concurrent player count for Diablo Immortal. You see how here on Age of Empires 4, I can go through 5K, 11K. It looks like each day is peaking around 12 to 15K, and then it dips to around 5K. So you're probably averaging, I don't know, 11, 12,000 of concurrent players a day on Steam for Age of Empires 4. And I wanted to know, what would that number be on Diablo Immortal, because I can't access it. So what I started doing was charting the games that I do see their concurrent player data. I started writing that down, and I need to denote this. I need to make sure that people know that's an estimate. But anyway, I started denoting these and then charting Reddit comments per day, and then figuring out, like how active a community is, how many concurrent players on Steam does that usually relate to on average. Now, Path of Exile is a super outlier. It's an extremely active community on Reddit. So this number ended up standing out a lot. And then you had Age of Empires 4, New World. I was trying to get like kind of different styles of games in here, RPG, RTS, and MMO, and see where the average. So you can see I put 35 question mark. Diablo Immortal, somewhere in there. You have the outlier of Path of Exile at 9, and then New World up here at 50. So, Diablo Immortal a little bit similar to New World, but not quite, obviously. It's like an RPG, MMO, ARPG type game. It's kind of a mixture of a bunch of different worlds. So I put like 35 question mark, which would put us at about an estimate of 28,000 Steam concurrent per day. And you can see that is pretty significantly behind the average on Path of Exile of around 45,000. These are estimates, by the way. I was just kind of, you see how I was talking about Age of Empires 4. It's probably around like 11, 12,000 a day. And I put 10 here. Again, this is not scientific. This is not perfect. I was just kind of going through. You're kind of getting a look at behind the scenes when I'm researching for a video. And I'm kind of throwing things into spreadsheets, and I'm getting a bunch of different numbers, and I'm setting estimates, and I'm trying to figure out what to talk about and how to talk about it. But anyway, this was the number that I ended up coming up with for Diablo Immortal. So if we were able to see a chart like this, like a Steam concurrent players for Diablo Immortal, it would probably be somewhere in between like 25 and 40,000 when you drag through here and try to look at concurrent players. But also worth noting that that is probably only in the Western markets. We're probably not getting the Eastern market data like in China and stuff like that. So there's a lot of different things to take into consideration. But either way, that's kind of the data and what it is showing right now in terms of trying to convert that different stuff and at least attempt to take an educated guess. And we also want to look at stream data. How many people are watching on Twitch. Now, over the past week on Diablo Immortal, 309 average viewers over on Twitch. Now, that is incredibly low. I'm shocked it's that low. Like, you pull up a game like Diablo 3, And we look at Diablo 3, we're at 1,800 over the past 7 days. So you're talking about 6 times more popular on Twitch than Diablo Immortal. And we kind of caught wind of this as streamers. We were like, this is insane. Like the most viewed person on Twitch, the biggest streamer, will be at like 250 viewers, which is just insane for a mainstream game like a Diablo game. I mean, you got games like Diablo 2 where you've got streamers like Mr. Llama hitting like 5,000 viewers and stuff. You got streamers on Diablo 3 hitting 1,000 viewers, and then you've got streamers on Diablo Immortal hitting like 200 when they're huge. So very interesting that the game just does not get watched on Twitch, because you would think Diablo Immortal would do better than a game like Diablo 3, because in Diablo Immortal, you're getting like these clan wars and these PvP matches and battlegrounds. Like, you don't have that in a Diablo 3 or Diablo 2. You can't like go into battlegrounds and PvP against other players from different servers and stuff. And then with like the different battles for Immortal and overthrowing reigns and stuff, you would think Diablo Immortal would do decent on Twitch because of people wanting to like stream their Immortal battles and their Rite of Exile fights and their Shadow Wars, but it just does not end up being the case at all. Diablo Immortal is an insanely low viewership Twitch game compared to the other games that are a little bit similar. And we also want to look at the Google Trends. Now, I've got this for United States because that's where I kind of live and produce my content. And then we do YouTube search. And we can see here we got Diablo Immortal, Path of Exile, and Diablo 3. And if we scroll over, you can see that Path of Exile is about 3 times more popular than Diablo Immortal currently. And I believe Path of Exile is like in the middle of one of their leagues. And Path of Exile's had a lot of drama recently in their community based off of this last league being a huge flop. I don't play the game, but from what I hear in the gaming sphere, that's what's kind of going on with Path of Exile. But we see that it's about 3 times more popular on YouTube search viewership than Diablo Immortal. And if I jump on over to my estimate, it ends up holding kind of true. We can see that it's about double as popular for Path of Exile compared to Diablo Immortal. So somewhere around there, like 2 to 3 times more popular here in the West for Path of Exile compared to Diablo Immortal. But if we went by Twitch viewership, you can see Diablo Immortal is at like 300 over the past 7 days. And then Path of Exile over the past 7 days is going to be at almost 15,000. So yeah, Path of Exile gets an insane amount of viewership on Twitch compared to Diablo Immortal, which, like I said, really shocks me. Like, it wouldn't shock me that Diablo Immortal is behind, but it shocks me how far behind it is. Like 300 compared to 15K. That is just insanely shocking to me. And I think one of the big reasons something like this ends up happening is Diablo Immortal was not able to retain the biggest content creators. Like if Asmongold was streaming Diablo Immortal, the numbers would be huge. If Quinn69 was streaming Diablo Immortal, the numbers would obviously be way up, and it would be bringing more people into the community and stuff like that. But all of the big streamers simply tried out the game and then moved on, which was a huge blow to the viewership of the community overall. But again, as we kind of put a bow on this discussion and wrap things up, none of this is to trash on Diablo Immortal or anything. You're not going to find very many bigger Diablo fanboys than me. I love every Diablo game. I want every Diablo game to be successful, and I love the Diablo community. And I'm really looking forward to Diablo 4 and any game that comes out in the Diablo sphere. I'm going to cover it. I'm going to play it. I'm going to enjoy it. I've recently been playing Diablo 3 and enjoying that as well. I'm still playing Diablo Immortal. I went hard in the paint on Diablo 2 Remastered when it came out. Mr. Llama SC, one of the content creators for Diablo 2, is a good friend of mine who I collab with all the time, and I'm probably going to hang out with a little bit at TwitchCon here in a few weeks. So I am entrenched in Diablo, and I love everything about it. I cheer for the game more than almost anybody else, but I am going to objectively cover the numbers and talk about them. I'm not going to lie and blow rainbows at everybody. And all in all, I would say that this is definitely alarming. I would say it can be fixed, but it's getting close to being dire for Diablo Immortal. It's not there yet, but it's getting close. They do have a big patch coming up. They're supposed to have a big patch coming here in the end of the month, within a couple weeks. And hopefully it's got a lot of good stuff in it, and hopefully it causes the game to kind of reverse that trend and go in the positive direction. I think the main thing that Diablo Immortal is going to have to do, they are going to have to throw a bone to the grinders. They're going to have to throw a bone to the player base. If resonance is going to be 99% of your power, players have got to be able to at least have an avenue to grind resonance. We've been harping on this from the start. If Blizzard will not make that concession, if they just refuse, if they put their foot down and they will not let players realistically grind for power on their account, then I don't see this trend really reversing. They can release all the new legendaries they want and all sorts of new content, but if players can't grind the main source of what is going to make their character progress and be powerful and contribute to their clan and their team and feel good about playing the game, then I don't see any amount of that new content type stuff being fun. They're going to have to do something like set dungeons dropping gem power or dropping legendary crests or some sort of way for playing the game to lead towards being able to be active in the trading market and actually grind up your resonance and grind up legendary gem levels so that you can feel like you're making yourself stronger by playing the game, because combat rating is not how you do that. Grinding gear is not how you do that. It is resonance, resonance, resonance. And if that's going to be the case, then the way it should be is that your normal players can grind for it, but it's easier and faster for the spenders and the whales to get there. They're going to get there at a faster pace than the grinders, but you can't just flat out lock out the grinders. It has to be open to them. So we're gonna have to see over the next month to whatever. We're gonna have to see if Blizzard digs their heels in and refuses to let players grind for resonance, or if they throw a bone to the player base, or how good this next patch is, or hopefully at some point in the near future, if they come out with server transfers, how well is that implemented? I believe Diablo Immortal was released with like 125 servers. It should probably be like 5. I mean, we have got to really consolidate the player base and get these servers insanely active so that Shadow Wars are actually these hyped up matches, 75 versus 75, and the Rite of Exiles are insanely active, and we get more people sharing commonality of what server they're in. Lots of things that could be done to increase the overall health of the game, and hopefully that stuff happens, because like I said, I'm cheering for the game, but I'm always going to cover it in an objective way and talk about things realistically here on the channel. So that's going to do it for me on this one. Let me know what you think down below, and as always, remember to subscribe on your way out if you enjoy Diablo Immortal content and Diablo content in general. I will see you soon in the next video. Thanks for watching. Peace.